Shawn is back.
What's up? We're back.
The film dropped.
It did.
Tell us what the film's called, what it's about, and why someone should go watch it.
Oh, man, we'll just get right into it, huh?
Okay. Dive in, head first.
Yeah, so the film's called Thin Air. It's on Sorenex's YouTube, so pop over to YouTube, type in Thin Air. It's probably all you really need to type in. It'll pop up, but it's on Sorenex. If you don't know who Sorenex is, they are the premier strength and conditioning company on the planet. They build the best weight rooms for the best athletes and teams in the world, period. They pretty much set the standard in the game. My good friend Bert Soren is the president of that company, and we work together on putting this film together. It's essentially Thin Air is basically the collision of the worlds of human performance and the outdoors. The way I express it is through bow hunting. Mm-hmm. When you watch the film, I think you'll realize and you'll understand that it's much more than just a bow hunting film or a film about elk hunting. It's really more about finding your next ridgeline and pursuing that, whatever that is for you. You'll see how I express it, and you'll see the process that goes into it, and the detail and the intent, and everything that goes into that. And I think our goal with it was just to hopefully inspire people to take that, and when you get done with it, hopefully you're ready to run through a brick wall and go smash whatever that thing is for you. It doesn't have to be elk hunting, doesn't have to be bow hunting. It could be anything. So feedback we've been getting so far has been awesome, and thank you to anybody who goes and watches it, man. We appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely check it out. It's on the Sorenex Outdoors. I think my freaking flies down.
Barn doors open.
The barn doors open. The Sorenex Outdoor YouTube page, I think, is where it's at, right?
Yeah,
pretty sure.
Yeah, it's actually on the Sorenex, the main
it's
Sorenex
on the main
page.
one as well.
Yep.
Cool.
So
easy to find. I finished watching it today. I thought it was great. I feel like there's just so much there, though, that you just kind of get you just dipped your toe.
Yeah. It's the first one. It's very introductory. It was painful to cut it down to 30 minutes. Jake, the guy who filmed and produced it, who did a phenomenal job. We went back and forth. I mean, he basically lived in my brain for the last year. He really took it upon himself to really understand, the depth of what everything is. Mm-hmm. And, getting down to the final version, there's so much just rad stuff that didn't make the film, which sucks. But we'll be able to do stuff with that footage later on, I'm sure, as well. But to get it into something that I would just say this, for 30 minutes, I think it'll keep you hanging on pretty tight.
Yeah, I feel like it's a good hook for people to, I'm sure there'll be more on the process and the performance and the hunting stuff. It would be a monumental challenge to try to do everything justice in just one film.
Yeah. I mean,
but I thought it was sick. I have some questions for you on the film. And I think sometimes people are how do these projects even get started? Obviously, there's a lot of dudes that hunt out there in the world that think they're worthy of being in front of the camera. And so I think some people don't really understand how things come together. But how did this project materialize for you? I would assume it's probably through some relationships you have. But what was the catalyst for hey, we want to make a film with you?
Yeah, I think the biggest driver was just, I've been trying to put together in my mind for a lot of years on how I could potentially take what I'm passionate about and turn that into something more maybe educational or more of something I could share in a way that I could mentor people or help people, and potentially turn into something that I could do, for the rest of my life, as far as turn it into a career or something. And I'm not going to try to, become a hunting movie star.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to do is really set the table about, the process that I go through to do what I do. And I think that really lays a good foundation for the company that we're launching, Work Built, which is, all about kind of, teaching those priorities and those foundations and those progressive plans to meet meaningful objectives. So that all that idea kind of balled into one. We just formed this idea of look, here's the vision I have. Here's what I think we can inspire a lot of people with this if we put it together. Sornex, they have, their brand is, and Sornex Outdoors has been, thin air, deep water lifestyle, right? So it's in general, it's a lifestyle of a physically cultured tribe where everybody's kind of striving to be their best. People can express that in a bunch of different ways. One of the ways I do it is bow hunting, but there's many other ways to do it. And kind of the main theme behind that lifestyle is as you strive and people in your tribe are around that, you kind of all bring each other up together, and you kind of rise the level together. So that whole idea, I think, is just awesome, and something that we can really build community around. I think there's a ton of people out there who are motivated and who want to do awesome stuff, maybe want some more guidance or need some more guidance. So if we could give a little bit of that, I think that was kind of really the motivation behind the film. And, for Sornex, they're the best in the world at what they do. So it was really important for us that we maintain that standard as we crossed over into the outdoors, and how we marry those two worlds of the physical world and the, physical culture world and the outdoor world together. So that was a huge priority. And really it was the vision leads the leader, right? And that vision for me was in my brain. It took the right people and the right team to kind of come together before I felt comfortable with saying, okay, let's do this and let's share the story. I've had plenty of opportunities, over the last decade to share stuff or to have people come, film me and stuff like that. And really just, it wasn't right at the time. But we just felt the timing was right on this one. And now that it's out, I'm really, really glad we did it, because it turned out awesome, and everybody who played a part in it crushed it. So yeah.
Nice. What was your favorite part of the whole film process now that it's out? I know it hasn't been out too long, but kind of what was your favorite component of all of it?
There's a few. One was I learned a ton about the documentation process. That was a lot of new stuff for me. So, some of the scenes, I filmed, the total footage we have, I don't know how much total footage there is, but there's a lot. And as you are probably well aware, you take all this footage and it, you only get just little snippets, right? And, I would say of the total footage, around 80% of it was my own self-filming, and 20% of it was Jake's filming. And then in the movie, it's the opposite, if not more. Mm-hmm. So what made the movie was a lot of Jake's filming and then a little bit of mine, though, just a little bit here and there.
Yeah.
But it just took so to put forth that effort to really just document everything was a whole new challenge. But it was something that I embraced and really used to try to help improve my process. So for instance, this was the first time I'd ever even stalked an animal that I wanted to kill with another human being with me, right? So first time anybody's ever been with me on a kill. So I knew, getting close to these things with a bow and arrow was really hard already. So now I got to get another guy there. So I really took that seriously in my preparation with the scouting and with just studying the lay of the land with, all my system, my gear prep, my shot process, all that stuff. I tried to take that to another level because I knew I was going to need to be my best to get to that point with a camera guy. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't just any camera guy. He was handpicked for that reason. I knew he would be a professional. I knew he would show up and just totally execute exactly what I told him. And it was, it was pretty funny. I gave him some pretty strict rules and expectations. And but he knew how much it meant to me. He's a former strength coach. He gets high performance worlds. Right. Yeah. And, so although it was totally new to him, so Jake had never even been elk hunting. He'd never heard an elk bugle. And next thing you know, he's attached to my hip and he's just we're making big moves in the dark trying to get around him, and it's just Jurassic Park, and he's holy, this is nuts, So he crushed it. So, and then to see him kind of come alive, in the movie, you'll see some of my reactions. What you don't see is when you see my reactions, I'm looking at him and his reactions are like just as intense, right? So like some of that for me was like super cool to be able to like share that with him, and a guy who had never been elk hunting or anything like that. And, like a week after we got done hunting, he had a bow and started shooting. I mean, he's like, ready to rip. So
Nice.
All of that I think was really cool. Just the added layer of attention to detail in my process to prepare for that, which I'm sure you understand well. Like it's an added layer of difficulty. So just try to take that seriously and prepare accordingly.
Yeah, there's a standard when it comes to filming hunts, and communication prior to even stepping foot in the field is paramount, at least for us, and I think for anyone that is really, trying to achieve at a high level out there. I mean, for us, we've been doing it a long time, and I say us because my brother was there on the last elk hunt, and it's like, at this point, and really even from the beginning, I guess, we set our standard pretty high, kind of like you have with elk, is I want to see the interaction, the engagement. We've always prioritized that as like, if don't get the go ahead from Travis, if like things aren't right, like we might have to miss opportunities to try to film it the way that we want to. And I don't think there's a right or a wrong way. I mean, you see a lot of hunts where it's not captured that way, which obviously there's a ton of challenge just to kill an elk, let alone a big bull, let alone on camera. There's all these things that are going into it. For us, that's just like the kind of the pinnacle, right? It's like pulling it all together and getting it done that way, which, I think it does help on the viewership end of things. I think people do appreciate it. Is it necessary? No, but it's fun to challenge yourself that way.
It is. And people love big bulls. They just love them. So it's like, that definitely helps. So like a big part of this film was like, too, we dove deep into the preparation, setting the stage for the difficulty of it, the history behind it. We dove way into that, for a large portion of the film. And, we filmed most of this dang thing before the hunt ever started. So like, you want to talk about like another extra added layer of pressure. It's like, hey, the main character is this big bull at the end. So like, we got to go execute now. And, which was so cool because like everybody who, on that point, everybody put their time into making this before the hunt even started. And that's how much belief they had in me that I was going to go execute. And so that was like a superpower, for me, knowing that when I went out there, like all these awesome people are just like zero doubt. They know I'm going to go do it. And I'm like, that was awesome. That got me pretty fired up. So, yeah, it's a good pressure to have.
Help you hopefully achieve at that high level.
The
breath work was cool. That was it. Bo?
Yeah, Bo Sandoval
was having you work on. I mean, I probably don't like execute breath work to that level. I know that like when I was trying to like bench heavy or like bench well, like there's definitely ways to breathe that help you execute, which I'm sure that's probably every single lift. I'm not like a pro by any means on human performance side of things. I thought that was awesome. I just know from like cardio conditioning, especially with shooting rifles, which is so like crosshair visual versus a bow, which is kind of just, it's always a little wobbly. Obviously it's more wobbly if you're breathing heavy, but understanding how like breathing can lower your heart rate. I just thought that was a cool piece that I'd love to know how you utilize that or integrate that, or if you done anything with that before Bo challenged you guys with that when you were lifting, or...
Yeah, so like coming from the sports world, like there's definitely did have a pretty good background, especially training in the gym with breath work. But as far as like how you then carry that over into other performance, one of the key pieces about, breathing, is it allows you to manage your suffering. So we call it suffer responsibly, right? In other words, we're going to endure whatever the physical task is that's going on. One of the things we can do is we can focus really intently on our breath work to help us block everything else out and focus on executing the task in front of us, regardless of whatever chaotic environments and stresses are unfolding around us. So you can do that when you brace up for a big squat, or like you mentioned, a big bench press. But you can do the very same thing when you're trying to kind of regulate your body and recover when you get to the top of a steep hill and you've got to now execute a shot process, right? Like when we want to exert, right? We breathe in, we pack that breath in tight. We're ready to exert. But what do you want to do when you want to relax, right? What do you tell a kid? What do you tell a kid when you want them to relax? Take a deep breath, right? Take a deep breath.
Deep breath, buddy.
And I'm not a breath work expert by any means, but Bo is. And so being able to learn from him and execute some of those tactics, while we perform and work on that is such another level and an unlock. And it's nothing like fancy or crazy. Like it's simple. Like you breathe all the time. Like it's easy to overlook that, right? But like that's our first fuel source is oxygen. So learning how to regulate that and manage that can be a huge asset for us as we perform. Mm-hmm. So I thought it was really cool that we were able to convey some of that stuff, in the gym and in our training with Bo, and then, take that with us as we go to perform in the field. So it's always, all that stuff's important. Our positional accuracy when you line up for a squat, right? When you take the bar out of the rack, are your feet staggered or are you like kind of, where's your balance, right? You're in an athletic position, right? Your feet are equal distance, like you're square, and you take that deep breath, you're ready to perform. So that's essentially the same exact process we go through when we start a shot on the range, right? We get athletic stance, locate the target, right? We're ready to perform. So we range, we go through our process. We just did this so we were at Winter Strong this past weekend, which is an event down in South Carolina that's put on by Sorinex at Bert Soren's farm, and it's an incredible event. There's high performers from the tactical world, the sports world, the human performance world, the outdoor world. There's just all kinds of hitters there. So it's a really cool event. We were tasked with our work built team was tasked with putting on a breakout session, in which we would have like groups rotate through, and we would, teach and coach on some of our priorities, right? And so, one of our priorities is just, going through our base process, right? So when we go to the range, what's your base process? Well, it's pretty simple. We stand there in an athletic stance, right? We range the target, we stow our rangefinder, slide our sight, get on the string, execute our shot. Pretty simple, right? So we would show the base process, demonstrate it, go through it pretty smoothly, like either myself or Colton, which we do it all the time, so it looks pretty smooth when we go through it. And then we'd have our participants step up and put them through it. And it's just incredible the amount of inefficiencies that you find immediately, just guys that hadn't done that. And it's simple. It's nothing. Like what I just said, is that anything groundbreaking? No, not at all. It's really simple, right? But the intent behind it, sort of the same idea that we have in the gym, which is no casual reps, so no arbitrary completion. We don't go in the gym just to lift weights for no reason. Like we're very intentional about everything we do. Mm-hmm. Same thing when we go train our skill set development on the range. So, we'd get these guys and put them through. And, man, we had guys with their rangefinders on the wrong side. And they'd be, messing with them. And, like, all of a sudden, like, what a lot. And we didn't do it to make guys look stupid. We just, this is how we refine, right? We refine our system through very intentional repeatability of a base process, so we can achieve refinement and precision just by doing those simple things. And then like anything we do, whether it's in the gym or in training, it's progressive, right? So, our training progresses over time. It's very strategic, very precise. Well, that's in the gym. Well, how about outside the gym? Whether you're training with a pistol or a rifle or a bow, like, is your training measurable? Is it progressive? If not, how come, right? So we tried to set up our skill set development to follow all those same priorities. So, like, for instance, in our breakout group, we taught them the base process. We put them through it. Okay, now you know what that is. Now we're going to take it off platform, so we'll add a little layer of challenge to it. So we'll progress one more, put them on a side hill. Now you have to find positional accuracy, just like you would in a squat, right? So you got one leg up, one leg down. You got to find your center of balance. And then from there, once you're ready to perform, now let's just go through our base process again. We're going to range, stow, slide, get on the string, execute our shot. We had a guy do it with no arrow, right? You got 100 people staring at you, and you got an instructor over your head.
It's so
great.
You know,
and it's not so like And that's the point, right? So that's the reason we just practice the basic stuff with high intent, is so that you can block out, like we said earlier, you can kind of block out all the external factors and just focus on performing the task in front of you, which you've performed thousands of times. And it's like second nature at that point. So you're just, everything goes away. You execute your process and you're good to go. Do you think that could carry over into a hunting situation when you're at the bull of your dreams and you're nervous as hell and your heart's pounding and you're shaking? If you could just channel all that energy to focus on your base process and go through it, then you're going to execute. And that's like one of the biggest differences between guys who get it done and guys who don't, is that final moment. Like, do you fall apart right there?
Yeah.
Or can you execute that process with like a high level of efficiency? So we just took them through some progressive stuff like that and just kind of drive home the point that like it doesn't have to be complicated, but it has to be intentional. It has to be repeatable. Archery's a precision sport. So in order to find precision, you have to have repeatability. So, establishing that base process for yourself with, whatever your bow, rifle, whatever, being able to go repeat that intentional process every single day when you train, you're going to find holes in your game and you're going to find things where you're like for me, it's always the rangefinder. It's always like, I'm always like wanting to find a smoother and cleaner way to like not have to take my eyes off the target and just be able to go through this process here without like do it fast and not have to like be messing around with it, Yeah. So like, I feel like I've probably refined that the most over the years, but that's how you find that stuff.
Yeah.
Nice.
What is your process if you're in an extremely like high heart rate state and need to execute a shot on an animal? Is there anything you do to try to lower your heart rate, or is there anything you do to try to manage whether it's a thumbs up or a thumbs down when you get to full draw?
Yeah.
How do you, because I think a lot of guys are in that scenario because I think they mentally allow themselves to get to, sometimes it is a physical exertion thing that gets you elevated, but I think a lot of times it's a lack of experience in sort of that, like the octagon, you know what I mean? Like environment where it's like, oh, I'm here. And it's just like intense, crazy adrenaline dump, elevated heart rate, How do you manage that, or what tools do you have in your process to manage that and try to regulate it and control it?
Yeah, easy. So we just call that process over feelings, right? So what you're talking about there is all the feelings that happen in that situation. So whether I'm running a marathon or I'm trying to hit the 10th rep on a big set of squats, or I'm trying to execute a shot on a giant bull at the top of a hill after I just bombed the mountain, like all those situations are completely different, but they're all pretty much exactly the same, because you're asking yourself to execute and perform with the external factors happening, like fatigue and emotions, adrenaline, all that stuff. So kind of back to what we just talked to, process over feelings. So right there is where you're going to, don't forget to breathe, right? Big nose breaths, dump the CO2 out the mouth. That's one way to compose yourself pretty quick. And even just remembering to do that can kind of lock you back in a little bit. But at the end of the day, when you have to perform in that situation, like you can't expect to be like perfectly calm. I've got my breath caught. Okay, I'm steady. I'm not shaking anymore. Like that's not going to happen. So you just have to be extremely process focused. And one thing I can say is for me, what happens for me is when I get to that point, I'm able to channel so far into that process that all that other stuff really goes away. You enter the zone, you're in a different world at that time. The only way you can enter that zone is if you have rehearsed it and practiced it, so many times that you're able to just channel everything into that moment and just focus on executing and during all those external factors, like they're all out here. They're all out here, and you're just in the middle focused on what you have to do. So it's really just mindset stuff. But the way you get there is through preparation. No doubt about it.
Yeah. I think people don't challenge themselves enough in the preparation. For me, it's sometimes I'll shoot on one foot just because you're inherently wobbly. And just being able to like see what an accuracy pattern or what your accuracy capabilities are with a 2x, 3x wobble. Mm-hmm. And if you actually trust the process and work through that shot, it usually is pretty dang good.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But you need to see it, right? For your mind to accept that that's an okay scenario. Because I think there's times as a bow hunter when like you shouldn't make a shot at full draw. Because something in that processing, what you're seeing is like a nope.
Yeah.
Like let down or wait or whatever. Another thing is like shooting in the wind a lot. You know, it's like it's windy out there a lot of the times. As a bow hunter, some of the best days are when the wind's blowing because you can just get so tight.
Yeah.
Shooting in the wind, man, is another huge one where it's like I might be blown over there, and then I'm back, and having that mental control in your shot process also. To be this close, you know, to work that trigger down, and then when it's floating in the acceptable window, you can slowly, you know that you're maybe that second or whatever away and you engage it, but you can stop it at any point where if it blows off, you stop it. But I think, you know, I'm sure you do that in your preparation. You get to see those visual reps, but that's something that I do to like sort of mimic the high heart rate. Kind of shaky scenario. Like on my bowl this year, dude, I was jacked up. I just sprinted down a canyon and had this bull that I've been chasing, had some history with, and just all these things are lining up where it's like it's kind of a combination of physical exertion where I have slowed down, but like it's still adrenaline. Like we're right here, we're this close to like, you know, possibly sealing the deal. And like when I got to full draw, like it was not target shooting sight picture. No. You know, like the pin was moving around more than it normally is.
But you've been there before.
I think if you're not used to seeing that, like that freaks you out, and now you're wanting to punch it when it hits there instead of like, okay, just like, I remember thinking like, it's okay, like focus on your spot and just work through that. If you work through that shot and it breaks clean, 9 out of 10 times it's going to hit in that. It's an elk too.
Yeah, it's going to be perfect.
It's 45 yards. It's going to be great. And that's how it worked out, fortunately. But I've went through so many scenarios bow hunting over the years where like nobody in my circle talked to me in the capacity that you're going to try to help educate people on like, how do you prepare for ideal performance instead of like just field failure. Yeah. Field failure was my teacher of like, well, this isn't working. How do we not do that again?
No. Yeah. And that was my teacher too. But then how do you establish, you know, meaningful objectives in your training, you know, by learning through those failures, right? And then turn that into something that you can measure against in your training, right? That's kind of a big deal. But like, well, you trust your process there because you'd been through it, you're right? Shot in the wind. Another thing I like to do is like, just to, you know, I mean, to clarify, I love to drop the tailgate and crush a couple cold beers and play music and just shoot and laugh and have a great time with the boys as much as anybody. Like I love that. Yeah. But like 90% of my training on the range is going to be like true skill set development, where I'm going there with a really high level of intentions. One thing I really like to put in my mind before I step on the range is just our responsibility as hunters to be efficient. Like when you look at it, like that bow, when you take it out of the case or take it out of the rafters to go to the range, like what are you going to do with that weapon? Like what do you intend to do? You intend to take a life, right? Yeah. That's pretty serious. So, and we got enough headwinds against us as a hunting community anyway. So like, let's take that responsibility upon ourselves when we train and develop our skill set on the range in the off season. Like we have huge off seasons. Like that's more than enough time to prepare. Oh, yeah. So let's use that to our advantage and put that intention into our minds when we go to the range where we're like, hey, I'm training today to take a life with this thing. And it's going to be something, you know, if you have big goals, it's going to be something that deserves that. All right. I mean, any animal you hunt is going to deserve a quick, clean kill. But like, if we can really justifiably say like, yeah, we're like the bull I killed this year, perfect example. He was ancient, like decent chance that bull is going to get killed in a way worse way if I don't take him out with a perfect shot. Right. So like to be able to like legitimately have that argument as hunters that like from a conservation standpoint, like we're doing a great job, you know, take that intention with you to the range and go ahead and channel that on every shot. Like dial up that intent on every shot, put the pressure on yourself to imagine that is that bull every shot. And like that might sound kind of like silly to people, but like you need to check your ego and just like that's important. Like that's how high performers train. So if you're not willing to look a little silly in your training, even if no one's around, you're not going to look very good when it's time to perform. You're like,
what's that dude running across that field with his bow over there? Like.
yeah, exactly. I mean, if you're not willing to do that, I mean, you're probably not going to be able to perform when it counts. So, and if you are, then maybe you're just a lot more talented than I am. But I would rather rely on my training. So
I think a good thing is measuring it, but I don't know that I do have tangible ways to measure progress for me when it comes to shooting my bow or my rifle. I'll definitely track things when I work out to measure it because I think it's a lot easier maybe, or like there's a easier base metric of like how much weight did I put on the bar? Did I lift it how many reps, versus training, which can be pretty dynamic. Even this week I'm training every day essentially. I'm shooting a rifle match on Saturday, and I shot Monday, shot Tuesday, shot today, I'll shoot tomorrow.
Is there a time component with your rifle match?
Yeah, so it's 4-minute stages. So most of my training, so enter a hunter they're all blind stages. So you basically go up to a sighting pin with 2 other pins that give you a vector basically that your targets are within. So all my training here, I kind of know where the targets are. So I can't really give myself 4 minutes or else it's going to be more than enough time. So I'll usually do 3 minutes since I kind of already know where the targets are, but I'll measure that. Sometimes if I did something poorly, like I'll go back and I'll repeat it till it's fluid, but it's not necessarily like I couldn't measure it on paper other than like, it felt the process, how I put my bag, how I like manipulated and set up my tripod, pulled it in, how the sight picture looked, that was better, but it wasn't like, I don't know how I'd put it on paper then like redid the process, did it better, did it smoother, did it more efficiently.
Well, I mean, if you just time it, right? Like you can progress against the clock.
Yeah.
I mean, if you videoed it and timed it, and then just, your first run is your standard mark, and then you just race against that and continue to try to refine that time. I mean, that's one way you could progress it. I do that all the time with my base process. Like I'll time it. Like I found out this summer, it took me 12 seconds, like basically standard process to range the target, stow my rangefinder, slide my sight, say from like 70 yards, right? Range the target, stow my rangefinder, slide my sight, get on the string, go through my shot process and shoot was like 12 seconds. That's kind of like one of the big reasons I developed the landmark drill. Not only was it practical for a hunting situation, but when I get to the landmark to make the shot, instead of going through my full process again, if I'm already ready, then that cut all that out. So I was able to run 20 yards to a landmark and shoot the target in like sub 7 seconds, where it took me 12 seconds to go through my process. So I'm like, okay, that's a huge time saver. So time is a big one that you can train against to progress from. And then also just like establishing base standards, like what you're doing is different. Like different competitions are going to have different tasks and stuff like that. But like just from like basic archery skill set development, like even just starting at the same range every time, and then like how many do you get in the circle? And like just something that simple. Well, I got 3 out of 4 on my first group today. Okay, wrote that down. How's my next group? Keep track of that, and then like progress that over the weeks and see how many you can get in there, right? So like just simple stuff, but like being mindful enough just to keep track of that stuff and to pay attention to see if you're actually improving. Just that right there is going to allow you to get a lot better. How many people just overlook that? And so I think that's like with a lot of this stuff, whether it's your physical development or whether it's a skill set, I think a lot of this stuff is super simple, just gets really overlooked. But when you look at, whether it's great athletes, great teams, great hunters, great shooters, all those people, all those teams, they do one thing really well, and that's execute the basics, right? They execute the basics phenomenally well. So I think there's a lot to learn from that, so.
Nice. I thought it was interesting. They added in that or not a coach, but it was someone from the military about how much you can back squat.
Major Donnie Bingham. Yeah.
Do you think that that's relevant to what we do.
Yeah, I think that's legit. So it's not relevant if you don't kill anything.
Yeah.
But if you're actually successful, yeah, that's pretty damn important.
Because I know that, dude, I'm a terrible squatter.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would probably struggle to do much more than my body weight right now.
And it doesn't
Even
have to be a
though-
squat. The point of that was just like that's a reference to leg strength, to lower body strength. The point what he's talking about when you guys watch the movie, you'll see, there's a graphic that's brought up by Major Donnie Bingham, where it's a statistic where at sea level, your ability, if you can squat 1.5 your body weight, you're able to maintain that threshold. Say it's a heavy pack, for a certain amount of time. Mm-hmm. If your squat increases, that threshold goes up from 25% to 40%. So it's like, it's the same task performed. You're able to perform it much better with just that much little more lower body strength. Mm. Like that's kind of the point we're trying to make. We see a lot of people doing, I think like sometimes the training for like hunting and for outdoor stuff, it gets way too specific. Like we don't have to just like arbitrarily, go backpack around or ruck around to like get ready for the mountains, especially if you're planning on killing something and packing it out. What we're trying to encourage people to do is get back to like true strength and conditioning, which encourages like a complete development of your physicality. Mm. So rather than doing just kind of like really specific things, let's strengthen our entire body. Like our endurance is still going to be great, right? We're still going to ramp that up, going into season, and we're going to be in a great place, ready to perform when that happens. But if we can increase our lower body strength before we go into a hunt, and then we're actually successful, one, that pack out's going to be a lot better, and two, you're going to recover way faster. So you're still going to get tired. That's a huge myth. Like people think like, oh, if I get in great shape, I'm going to run up the mountain and kill this thing and pack it out, and I'm like never going to get tired. Well, that's not true. Like no matter how good of shape you're in, mm-hmm. you're going to get tired. With your physical development, the better that gets and the more prepared you are, the better trained you are going into any kind of difficult physical endeavor like that, your ability to recover is going to be the biggest thing you notice. So you're still going to get tired when you get up to the top of the mountain, mm-hmm. but in a short amount of time, you're going to be like, okay, ready to go again. So like that's a big difference right there. But yeah, no, that's there's some pretty cool context in the film.
I was like, I have no doubt that like probably general human performance, like the military has probably studied it as extensively as anyone's. I'm sure there's absolute merit to it. I just was like, I know me personally, like I'd probably be an outlier in those statistics because I like to, I think that my ability to pack an elk out of some pretty gnarly zones at high altitude and steep country and long distances is like, it wouldn't make sense on paper if we were like, okay, Zach, we're gonna test the strength of your legs today, and the gym would be like, oh.
Well, and like
they're like mountain strong. I don't know why.
And that's a real thing. I mean, trust me, there's plenty of guys. I mean, we're testing some stuff right now on.
I think guys like also have their like strengths. Like I know I've just never liked squatting, probably because I wasn't ever really that great at it. Yeah, and I hung out around other individuals when I first got into weightlifting that like upper body, and you see it with most guys is like mm-hmm. that's the focus, and then you just didn't do it as much, and then you weren't as strong, and then you didn't want to do it more unless you were training for something where you're like, I need to train my weaknesses. Yeah,
no, legs feed the wolf, man. Yeah. Legs feed the wolf.
I'm doing more of them now because my knees and joints feel better annually if I'm staying on like mm-hmm. some sort of strength program when I'm not spending as much time in the mountains instead of just kind of letting it slightly atrophy.
We'll get you over to work, Bill, once we got the gym set up and get you squatting right. Yeah. And some guys just really aren't built to squat. It could be like an ankle flexion thing, depending on how you're levered. Like you're a pretty long levered guy. Like so, it doesn't necessarily have to be a squat like you'd see an Olympic weightlifter doing. So I mean, there's different ways to skin that cat, and that that's part of like what we're gonna do at Work Built too, is kind of like scale these things to meet different athletes where they're at, and allow them to progress in a way that's going to be beneficial for them. So
I do want to talk to you. We'll get to Work Built, and I want to talk to you about the standard. Okay, the last question I had, and it's it's not a critique by any means, but I thought it was it was funny to me. Obviously, the locations that you hunt to kill big bulls don't always demand high levels of physicality. In the film, you know, you had a fanny pack, which is like dream encounter to need that little on your body that you can be that nimble, agile. Nothing's on your back you have to worry about brushing up against. Do you feel like there was a little disconnect there and like all the training and then like Shawn just got a fanny pack on out there in the field bow hunting?
That is funny. No, not at all. It's just high speed. I think once you're out there, whether you're spiking or whether you're, you know, have a good camp, however your setup is, like I'm always, when I'm hunting, I'm always trying to be as light and fast as possible anyway. So I think that's just understanding like the hunt, but that is kind of funny. Yeah. Like all the training and then I'm just like light and fast.
I loved it. I thought the film was great, especially for Sorinex, because I think their world really is like, hey, whatever the final output is will help you achieve the physical performance aspect of it. I'd love to see more of like your hunt process, you know, which is probably a different film. I think Sorinex would totally be down to tell that, you know, in a deeper way. But like, I think a lot of people who know you want to see you hunt.
So you just teed this up for me. So like our next project that we're working on for this fall is going to be like a really deep dive into like tactics and strategy and like some really next level stuff. Again, when I say next level, I would just say nothing. I mean, some of it is a little crazy kind of, but it's like, just like
call it next level.
Yeah.
It's because just, I think you want to be that like 0.5%. So it has to be the next level if you want to be successful at it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it is. I mean, to have a plan, to plan on and to bank on killing a giant with a bow every year is pretty ridiculous. Like that's a pretty insane thing. So there's got to be a lot of intentionality behind that whole process. And like, the next one's going to be, it's going to be rad. It's going to be like certainly a way deeper dive into that side of things. Nice. I think for the tip of the iceberg, and really just to give people, really wanted to just give people like a more broader look at the mindset and the process and like kind of, you know, a little more inspiring on, you know, whatever it is to them.
Yeah, no, I thought it was great for all those things and to just kind of get people hooked. I think that's a great lead in because I wanted to know like, where are you at in your process for 2026?
Yeah.
And like, what are the next 3 to 6 months when it comes to shooting, fitness, scouting? Like, where are you at right now? What's the like spark notes for where you're kind of like going this year?
Yeah. So there's a few different like phases to that. So there's application season, right? So you have to get some hunts planned. I should draw Arizona. We'll find out here in the next couple of weeks.
Nice.
It's been about a decade since I've been down there, so I'm super excited about that one. It's going to be late, so that'll be super cool. Fingers crossed on that. It looks like I'm going to get it, so we'll see. And then obviously Montana that's the priority every year for me. So we already have that whole game plan lined up. Need to do some more scouting. Need to confirm some things. There's a lot that I already know. There's going to be a lot of confirming what I know and really kind of, you know, I would say that I have a circle around a few different spots of plan A, B, and C. There's a different tactic for each. There's giant bulls in each. I would just say I've got that pretty much dialed right now. Like I know what I'm going to do. Last year I hunted a lot more elk, and you know, the goal last year was like, I wasn't going to pass anything over 360. You know, the year before that was like, I wasn't going to shoot anything unless it was like mega. You know, and that's this year now I'm back to like, I don't care if I go 10 days without seeing an elk. I just want to shoot a giant. So it's definitely going to be way more focused on like kind of going after that really next level bull this year. You know, the physical development right now, you know, wintertime is like really a big strength phase. I always try to keep my endurance baseline high. We love the idea of a 52-week fight camp with that. So essentially at any time of the year, we're always ready for the fight. So always keeping that endurance baseline high, but the kind of the priority right now is strength development. That'll kind of phase into more athletic stuff throughout the spring, and then really transition more heavy into ramping up the endurance over the summer, and then just really kind of being ready to rip, right before September. So that's kind of how that process goes. But yeah, other than that, it's just the same, like skill set development, just, mastering the basics. I'm building a new Matthews bow, which I'm super stoked about. It's going to be a rocket ship. Nice. Testing out some new stuff there. I'm going to try the new, they're not super new, but the UV arrows with the dude was like, yeah, we use the same carbon fiber wrap that Rory McIlroy uses on his driver. And I'm like, yeah, I'll sign me up for that. Like, that sounds wicked. I actually really like they have the injection molded vanes.
Yeah.
Like, those are super cool. They're actually balanced to the spine of the shaft. I just think those guys are doing like some pretty next level innovation over there. So I'm like willing to test it for sure.
Nice.
So always exciting to build a new rig and test it out and, put it through the gauntlet and see how it performs. And like, basically I do that every year. Sure. I'll build a new setup and I'll test it against the last one, and, whichever one's best, that's what I'll hunt with. And nice. So super pumped about that. But yeah, no, the plan is pretty much already ready. I'll get out a little bit between now and St. Paddy's Day. I'll get out and try to get some eyes on a couple wintering bulls. Usually those bigger ones are still packing until about St. Paddy's. So I generally rule of thumb, try to get a look at them over the winter, make sure they're there and I'm not hunting one that's dead.
Yep.
There's no surefire way to 100% confirm that every time, but if you get eyes on them, then they're there. Yep. So, and they've made it through the seasons, and man, we've had a pretty easy winter so far. So that's interesting. We'll see how that goes.
How do you keep tabs on where you can find bulls that you hunt in the winter?
Well, I mean, it's in the wintertime, they're not always where you're going to hunt them. Most of the time they're not, right? So, but doesn't mean you can't get eyes on them and just get proof of life, So essentially that's, if I know some, behaviorally, if I know sort of what they're going to do in the rut and I know where they're going to winter or summer, so I can put those pieces together through scouting to where if I want to look and see if one's there in the wintertime, okay, I know where this bull's going to be in the winter, so I'll go find him. I know where he's going to be in the summer. I'll go check on him again, see how he's growing. And then I have a really strong indication of where I think he's going to rut. So it's really more just like proof of life. And like when you're hunting a specific animal, you want to kind of check them every once in a while. But then also, like, you never know, like just getting out there and looking, like sometimes you learn stuff, And so how many times I've gone out looking for like one specific thing and then learned something completely different that took me off on a whole different direction. And you never know, just like time in the field is always valuable. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I always look forward to that. It's like one of the favorite things.
How do you go about breaking it down though? Like, let's say I'm just out coyote hunting, all of a sudden I'm glassing, there's like a 390 bull.
Yeah.
Like, I know nothing about anything. Mm-hmm. I mean, how do you generally go about being like, okay, it's February 12th. Mm-hmm. How do I understand where and how this bull's moving? Like, are there any things that you would do in general that are apples to apples wherever you're at in the world? Or
yeah, for sure. I mean, a lot of it is can be pressure dependent, but like generally, like if I were to like randomly find a giant bull, which I've done a lot of times, and I wanted to build a plan out from there on like where he's going to be in the archery, well, I'm going to find like he's going to show up to the dance, right? He's going to go to rut. So usually where they're at in the wintertime, especially the big ones, is nowhere near cows, right? So the first thing you're going to want to do is go find some cows, right? Yep. So, if you draw, a 10-mile radius and then look at it from an access perspective too, right? Like if he's wintering in a spot and there's like everything around him is no go. Yeah. I mean, that's cool, but like your chances of him being available in the archery season somewhere you can access, not likely. Do you want to spend a lot of time on that? Maybe not. Not to say that there couldn't be, there's little slivers here and there. So like you just really start investigating from there, draw your plan out from there and start kind of figuring out, okay, well, like, 7 miles away, there's 200 cow elk in an alfalfa field. Mm-hmm. Reasonable assumption that he might show up there during the rut. Is there anything between where he's at now and where those cows are that in that transition phase? Is there a public chunk in there? Like maybe early we can catch him in transition. Is that likely? No. Is it possible? Yeah. Have I seen it happen? Yeah, absolutely. So it just really depends on how committed you are to that. But I think that's huge. Just start building your plan out from there, and ultimately understanding that like they're going to go rut. Another thing is like if you find him now and he's on, like say you find him on public now, like that's sweet. So you got a pretty good chance that he's going to be there early. Like sometimes, depending on when the archery season opens, I think it's the 5th this year. So he's probably not going to be there. He's probably already moved out. Yeah. But like that last week, if you still got a tag in your pocket, we have a 6-week archery season. So you get into mid-October, like a really good chance that he's going to be back there. Yeah. And that's paid off for me before too. So yeah, you can put the pieces together pretty good if you spend some time at it.
Do you think you'll ever invest any similar amount of time to any other species, or do you think you'll just always be an out guy?
Man, I don't know. Maybe like when I get like super old, if I'm lucky enough to get super old, like maybe I'll just go like crazy on whitetail and just set up an absolute picket for whitetail. Like I would love to just dive deep on that. I mean, I love deer hunting and all the other stuff too, but I just, I don't know. It's just like elk's your thing. It's a driving obsession. Yeah.
So I'm sure in your world of advanced planning and process, there's got to be some adaptation every year. What things are you changing this year to your process that hasn't been a part of it in the past?
That hasn't been a part of it in the past.
Or has a significant change, or, just something that's tangibly different that you think will help you?
You know what? I don't know that there's anything like massively different. I think the process will stay relatively the same. It's been working pretty good. I'll try to continue to refine it. Where I'm going to hunt this year is it's pretty much all new. So there will be some adaptation that happens. I'm going to use the same criteria that's got me success in the past and apply that to a new area. But like inevitably, stuff's going to change. So I think there's always going to be adaptation that happens. As far as like my process, nothing really too crazy. I think really just sticking to really trying to master the basics, put a ton of time into scouting, master my skill set, get myself physically prepared as possible, develop a deep understanding for the animal behavior in the areas I'm going to be going, set my life up so that I'm able to spend the time, all the same things, same process pretty much. So there's always things that get refined along the way.
I guess this will be a good jump in to work built, and we'll circle back, because I think you'll probably have to make an adaptation of some kind maybe with your new business that you're focused on with some guys. But tell us about Work Built and like what it is and who it is.
Okay, yeah, cool. So Work Built is it's a strength and conditioning app. It's going to be app and web based, and our goal with that is just to bring a higher level of strength and conditioning to the digital marketplace. There's a lot of stuff out there right now. Our goal is to bring another level of education, another level of expertise. We're gonna definitely do stuff that's gonna really benefit the outdoor population, whether it's hunters or mountain athletes, anybody who enjoys being in the outdoors, or if you're just a weekend warrior or a dad. I mean, it's true strength and conditioning. It's going to help literally anybody who wants to live a stronger and better life. So that's I'm working with some of the best coaches on earth. Bo Sandoval is one of our leaders of the human performance side of that. He's currently at Texas A&M. Before that, he was with the UFC. He was the director of performance there for like 7 years. And I mean, he's coached, hundreds of Olympic athletes, professional fighters, UFC champions, you name it, Olympic sports athletes. He's a true savant. And, just a wealth of expertise and knowledge, and a true coach, at his core. He really wants to help people. He really wants to educate people. He wants to give our clientele the opportunity to put all the effort that they want to put in already into improvement. He wants to give them a roadmap and help them chart a course to actually make progress, which I think is amazing. And he wants to help people to his core. And our other coach on that side of the house is Josh Storms, he's currently the head strength and conditioning coach for the Florida State University football team. So he is a master strength and conditioning coach. That's the pinnacle credential in that craft. So just really like some of the best on earth, and they really have a passion for helping people. They want to really bring a new level of programming and coaching and education to the digital space. And so that's the team we've put together. The other one here in town with me is Colton Dabrowski, and he's kind of our young buck. He comes from the tech side as well, so he's really been huge in kind of guiding us through we're really good at strength training and hunting and some other things. We're not so good at technology. Where he is, so he brings a lot of strengths there, and just so happens to be a hell of a bow hunter as well. So all of our guys understand what it is to perform at a really high level. We understand what it is to go out and chase our dreams, whether it be in the mountains or on a field or whatever. So to try to bring some of those priorities from a strength and conditioning standpoint to the masses, and educate people and give them some tools that they can use to get better and achieve their objectives. That's our goal.
So will it just be like pre-established kind of pathways that people can get like pushed into, and then there's just a kind of a regiment, or how much of it will be personalized, if any?
So to roll something like that out to a large number of people, obviously can't be personalized to every individual.
Yep.
That being said, we're building out the program sets to address several different like large demographics, right? So, if you're, say if you're in your 50s and you've got some limitations, you're not going to be in there jacking deadlifts like I am all the time, right? But you still want to be able to go out and chase elk in the mountains in the fall. So like, how do we approach that? So there'll be a lot of different options scaled to folks with different abilities, with different experience with their training. And all of that will be progressive. We're going to try to do our best to meet each individual where they're at and kind of scale them appropriately, to an extent. But in the beginning, we'll address, some populations that we really think could use the help. And then over time, our plan is to expand and grow those verticals to address this and help as many different populations as we can.
Will the headquarters here just be for staff and for content, or will you have any in-person style programming?
Yes. So our headquarters here is going to be really just to support the app from an educational standpoint. But in there on any given day, I mean, you walk in there and I would just say like generally the door is pretty much open. It's not going to be a public gym, but like if you're really interested in this thing and you want to learn, like please stop by and say hello, and we're happy to help anybody that we can. We are going to definitely do several in-person clinics where we bring in our coaching staff. We're going to bring in some hitters too from across the world of human performance to really just give people the best experience possible in terms of educating them on what they're doing. Like I said before, there's a lot of people out there who are like, they want to work hard. They're willing to work hard. They just need a little more guidance and a little more strategy, a little more precision. And so if we can provide that for them, if the effort's a given, if they're going to put in the effort and we give them the right roadmap, the right strategy, I think they're going to be able to do whatever the thing is that they want to do, chase whatever thin air is for them, as long as they want to. And that's kind of the whole big idea behind it. But yeah, we're definitely going to do some in-person stuff here as well.
What's the short and sweet for why someone shouldn't be a lazy POS and work out and have some level of physical conditioning as part of their life?
Yeah, well, honestly, that doesn't really matter to me. We're not going to be for everybody. I would just say for those of you who do want to get better, and you would like some guidance on how, we're going to help you.
Yep.
Like for sure. These guys are the best in the world at what they do. And they're going to make their expertise available to anybody who wants it. So that's what our team is going to deliver. And so I think if you're out there and you're hungry to improve, then we want you to be a part of our community.
Talk to me a little bit about your guys' kind of like focus and priority on like standards and the standard. I appreciate standards, especially when it comes to like physical programming or really any programming, with the intent of like progression and getting better. But that's one thing that I think has been a complaint of at least mine and participating in other things is like there's really no
meaningful
care
objective
and thought to the standard. It's almost a byproduct. Like if you did it, like it was like good job instead of like, whoa, stop. You know, and I'm talking about in-person things where it's obviously something that we could address very easily. Like, hey, whoa, like that is not how we perform this lift or this series of workouts. Like, what's your guys' mentality on standards?
Yeah, so I mean, you just said it perfectly. Like the example you gave, like we don't. So like part of our language, part of our DNA, is we do not believe in arbitrary completion. So like Bo says all the time, no casual reps. So we don't believe in just going and doing a workout. We don't even say workout. We train. Okay, so the difference is when you train, training is a strategic, intentional set of effort that you're focused on going towards and progressing towards a meaningful objective. So the first thing we have to do is identify what those meaningful objectives are. So like, what are you training for? Okay, so let's identify what that is, and then let's establish a plan to get there. So like just right that in itself right there is huge for most people, right? You're not just going to do your 45-minute or hour workout to, make a sweat angel on the floor. Like, okay, great, but like, what kind of, did you really make any progress in that? I don't know, maybe not. So yeah, I mean, a big part of what we're doing, and a big part of our standard is the elimination of casual reps in general. So we train with intent, and we train with a strategy, and we train with precision, so that when we go in, like our time is precious, right? It's the most valuable commodity we have. So if we're going to take 45 minutes or an hour out of our day, whether it's at 4 o'clock in the morning before we go to work, or if it's at our lunch break, or like, right, we're all busy. Like we're chasing our kids around. We have jobs, we have companies we're running. Like our time is precious. So if I'm going to invest that time into investing into my physicality, and I want to actually make progress, like, let's go in there and make it count. So we're never going to send you down a path of arbitrary completion, like everything that you do with us. And we'll support all this with, as much education as we possibly can, down to how to wear a belt. When's the last time you saw somebody teach you and coach you on how to put a belt on when you're doing a squat? Like I could have Bo talk for 30 seconds about how to wear a belt, and it'll like blow your mind. Like you've never, just simple stuff, right? Yeah. But like prioritizing the little things, attention to detail, extremely high intent, process driven, process over feelings always, no casual reps. I mean, that's going to be kind of the standard all the way through.
Why did you guys start Work Built?
Yeah, I mean, we a couple reasons. One, we were all at a time in our lives when we wanted to take our passions and our expertise and put it into something that we could serve other people with. I think at our core, all of us, we do have the heart of a servant, each one of us. Like we want to help people. We want to mentor, we want to coach, we want to help. I think there was definitely some divine intervention that took place. I think that, God's timing played a huge part in all of us getting together. We all believe that. That's one of the reasons why we are so convicted in it. And also we just, we feel like there's a legitimate void in the space of the standard that we want to bring. So, there's a lot of stuff out there. There's there was nothing that we thought was to the standard that we want to deliver. So really it was just for the people that we're gonna serve ultimately. Like I said earlier, there's all these people out there that want to get better. We want to give them something that's actually going to get them there. And so we're passionate about that. We're all at the time of our lives where we're ready to deliver that to anybody who wants it. And so I think, all those things put together, like for me personally, like for years and years, I've been trying to figure out like how, if I pivot into this space eventually, like what am I going to do, and never really was able to land on anything until we put this team together. And then it really made sense. Like once we had the team together. But for me, it's like, I think, God is woven into each one of our DNA. And, for me, for years, I was just called the burning river. It's like this thing in your chest that drives you. And a lot of people can relate to that. You don't know what it is. And for a long time, I tried to put my finger on what that is. Is it the best of me trying to get out? Like, what's this thing that like just won't allow me to settle or rest? What is that? And once we started going down this path and started building Work Built into something that we're going to be able to help a whole bunch of people with, and it just like that's the lane of my passion and all my teammates' passion. Like that burning river, that thing, that's God, man. That's Him wanting to come out in all of us. That's Him wanting us to, honor our design, the way He built us, the way He built me, was to be able to share this passion and help people. So I think acknowledging that was huge for all of us, and it's at the core of everything that we do.
Nice. Will you guys try to weave God into the company? Which that's probably a very difficult thing to try to wrap your mind around. But
yeah, I don't know if we've necessarily gotten to a strategy on doing that. But what I will say is that we're certainly not afraid to let everybody know that that's a big part of who we are.
Nice.
So I think just living in that light, I think on its own is a big deal. So
yeah, because I think that's a challenge for sure. Because I don't know what you want to call your walk with God, but like I'm a Christian, I'm a believer. It comes out at times. It's probably not as front and center as if you were objectively evaluating, all your decisions as you like it to be. But yeah, it's something that's, I think, good to be thoughtful about, especially if that is a core principle of the company. I think God will lead you in those types of things, but it's also like everything we do. I feel like if you're not purposeful in some of these objectives, kind of they do fall by the wayside, just like you find little things in your life, even a relationship as simple as, your spouse, it's like takes daily devotion and dedication to really progress and like see change in those areas. So it'll be cool to follow both what you guys are building and also kind of see where that goes.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's a big part of it.
If you're a believer, that's the most powerful driving force that you can have. So that's cool.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, for sure. And for me, that's been a long walk. I mean, there was because my plan and God's plan did not align early on. I'm supposed to go play in the NFL for like 10 years and go to the Hall of Fame. Well, He said, no, we're going to take it right. And I said, well, I don't like that idea. So we had it out for a while, and I think that burning river kind of guided me, and I think it was Him the whole time, and whether I realized it or not, and He led me down a path to where I am now. And so I think sometimes it takes time, but I think just being open to that possibility in your life and being open to faith, I think is something I would encourage people to do.
Yeah.
So it's helped me a lot.
I think those are great things. I think being outdoors, I mean, I talked about it a little bit in the past or even just on one of our other podcasts, but my pathway was being in God's creation and finally really truly believing that God created everything I saw around me. And if I believed that, I probably should get to know Him, and
it's pretty hard not to believe that when you go out there as much as we are.
It's, that set the whole rest of the course of my life. And I like everybody, whether they admit it or not, we all wrestle with God. We're all sinful humans, and we all have that, whether you want to call it the burning river or whatever. We all know in our heart, just how we operate, at least in my opinion, that this isn't just random chance, the
Yeah.
world that we live in.
Yep.
As wild as it is, and as much as people want to say it's a simulation and it is getting crazy with technology, like, holy smokes. But yeah, well, that's kind of, I think, the end of the list. What's the best way for, I know you guys have the Instagram page.
Yeah,
For Work Built, but is there a website? Is there a way to get kind of like plugged in and stay up to speed on like how that progresses?
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Yeah, the best way right now is go follow us on Instagram, Work Built. There's going to be like all the announcements are going to kind of funnel through there. As we launch the app and the website, all that information will come out on there. So yeah, just go follow us on Instagram for now. And,
Okay.
and you know, between now and then we'll be putting some good stuff out for people to chew on and kind of get you set up and ready to go. So
Nice. Yeah, you guys have a good network of homies and
yeah, the best
people that will
Yeah.
give it some screen time, I'm sure, on some people's phones.
Yeah.
Devices.
No doubt.
So,
No doubt.
dude, thank you for coming back on the podcast. We'll have to go shoot the bows.
Yeah. Thanks for having
You'll
me.
have to wreck me in the gym when the Sorinex monstrosity gets built.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah.
Excited to see that. So,
Yeah.
thank you very much, Shawn.
Yep. Thanks for having me.